You can do it, Brian.
Yeah, he didn't want to do that.
Thank you. We're good, right? We're rolling, we're recording. Christian? Thumbs up. All right, great. Welcome, everyone. Big round of applause. Great event. If you're having some excitement, some fun, let's hear it. Let's give it up. 3 wonderful women on the stage with me today to recap one of our favorite events in Arizona every year. The best WordPress event to happen in Arizona. Woo! Yeah. Clap, Devin, clap. All right. So the word of the event was clarity, or is clarity. Though I'm feeling a bit of uncertainty. I want to unpack a little bit on stage today. I'm going to share some of my feelings a little bit and see if the sentiment sticks or we can dissect it here on stage. For me and for a lot of people, I feel like WordPress was the foundation for a lot of things in our lives. Katie, you shared how you built your lifestyle business thanks to WordPress. Lindsey, you have a marketing career and an agency thanks to WordPress. And we have, I know you're not running the business, Emma, but you have a career in WordPress, right? Helping WordPress hosting companies, SEO, and so forth. Do you think we still have that these days? Do you think WordPress still provides that for us and folks like us? Lindsey, I'm going to give it to you first.
Oh, absolutely. I work in WordPress every single day. My content marketing agency, we have very active clients that come in, and most of them are built on WordPress. Sure, at the end of the day, some of them don't know that or care about that, but it allows me to do the work that I do. So yes, for sure.
Katie?
Yeah, we absolutely still have that today. The question, which I think we'll get to in a minute, is how long is that going to continue, and are there any changes we're going to make? But definitely we have that now. We're all here now, and things are good right now.
Emma?
Yeah, I think I agree with what's been said. I think it's also just important to realize the direction that we're going in and how to adapt and to make sure that it's not going in the other direction and that we keep growing. Because even for bigger companies like web hosting's perspective, it is still 50% of everything that we do. It's just keeping it there.
Yeah. A lot of talks, it felt a bit of a roller coaster ride for me this year, right? There was a bit of a tug of war, I think, from where we feel the WordPress community is, where WordPress software is, where WooCommerce is, where AI is coming into this stuff. And what I'm wondering, after hearing all of these talks, what do you think the toughest decisions we have to make right now to continue the stuff we just talked about, right? And how we continue to WordPress to go? Emma, I'm going to kick it to you first. So what are the toughest decisions we have to make, or maybe specifically in your position, and then we'll go down the line.
I think it's just honestly just making a decision. I don't know if this is me or... Is it me or you?
No, I have no idea.
It's all of us.
Okay. Yeah, making a decision. It's me. No, it's not. It's you.
I'll do this.
Okay, all right. But yeah, I think making an actual. No, it's me. Okay, making a decision is really important.
You were very indecisive about that.
Yeah, and I think the past couple of days have surfaced a lot of things that we want a decision on, and there's definitely a through line between everything that has been said. None of us talked to each other before we decided what we were going to talk about or what we were going to present. But there's connections and a theme without even knowing that the theme was clarity or anything like that. And I think there is a lot of decision points, and so there's a lot of things that were surfaced throughout the last 48 hours. But I actually don't feel like there was a lot of action points or any things that we maybe even just as simple as a list of things that we need to make a decision on. So I would even just say starting there, because I can actually answer that question of what we need to make a decision on, because so many things were touched upon in the last couple of days.
Very good. Katie?
Yeah, for me, I've got some big decisions to make. I shared that my new sales have been declining, which I think is largely as a result of changes in the way people are finding WordPress products, and also in what sorts of things people are using AI for, which might compete with certain types of products. So I've got some big decisions to make about whether my current plan to adapt to that is sufficient. But also in a positive sense, whenever you go to an event like this, you come away with lots of new ideas that you could implement. I often think big things like new product ideas, so your head is spinning when you go away thinking, is this an opportunity, is it a distraction? And there's always nice decisions, I suppose, or nice problems to have.
I think that what I heard many of the other speakers and in the hallway and from these ladies up here as well is just saying, like, we definitely have change. Change is here. We're facing it. We've been facing it. As entrepreneurs and as business owners, isn't that always what we've done, right? And so it's just part of that piece of, like, we can't ever just like stay stuck. Like, this is what I do. My skill is only this thing. That's not true, right? Like, we have skills that are platform agnostic, really. And so as long as we're out there, like what Matt Cromwell was saying, serving the customers that are still coming to us, willing to pay for services or products or our expertise in all of those ways, then everything gets to thrive the way that we want it to.
Yeah.
Like I said, my customers don't necessarily know that we're using WordPress. It's what I prefer. It's what I'm comfortable. And so when we get that choice, that's what I'm using. And so as long as I'm doing my job, then that part of my business that does involve the CMS, continues to thrive.
I want to stay talking about making the decision, making a decision, any decision, with this stuff. I'm going to go to Katie first, but one of my character flaws, if folks in the room haven't figured that out yet, is I'm a diehard WordPress person. Like, I'm here because I love WordPress, whatever that means to you, whatever it means to me. A lot of folks have said it's just a tool, it's just a piece of software, we move on. Katie, do you think that moving forward after what you experienced here at PressConf, that WordPress is just a tool? Is it important to build community around? Does it help to build culture around WordPress in your own organization? How do you make the decision of whether or not you invest mentally, spiritually in WordPress moving forward?
That is something I've been reflecting on more and more lately. WordPress is more than the sum of its parts because of what it's come to represent, and its meaning to us is way more than actually the software. And I think most people would agree that maybe if it's just the software, we don't love it that much. We think it's maybe all the things that have been said throughout the last 2 days about how it could be modernized and so on. And yet we do all love it because of what it represents to us and the community around it. So really it's a bit reductionist to just think of it as a piece of software.
Yeah. Emma, in an organization your size, it's very easy hosting companies need to make sometimes real tough decisions on whether or not to invest in a piece of software because it's either not working in the market or it's not cost effective. Do you feel, or I guess the better question might be, how do you keep an organization the size of hosting or rallying around WordPress as best as you can to keep it going?
I used to joke that there was like a lot of evangelism and lobbying from my side, that I was like Emma the lobbyist trying to get everybody at hosting or to be part of WordPress. But at the end of the day, it's true, if you have a few people that truly believe in this community, you can lobby a good clan around it, and you can basically prove your ROI without dollar signs. It's hard, but if you can prove that in some other way, and like the way that you tell where you are getting that value, it's totally doable. I think where it starts from is the person that's doing it. Like, if the person is just doing it because somebody told them to do it, tough shit. I don't know if I can say that.
You can say it.
But if the person is really cares about the community, then it's actually a lot easier than you think.
Yeah. And Lindsey, agency owners, freelancers, we have to make the decision whether or not we continue to invest in WordPress, whether it makes sense for the business. We'll talk about AI in a second. But how do you make that hard decision of continuing to invest in it?
it's interesting for me because I have a dual perspective, right? Like, of the 16 years in WordPress, 10 of that, I was the spouse of someone who owned a plugin company.
Never heard of him.
Right? You might have heard of Corey Miller. And so I do have like a little bit of that dual brain where obviously Corey spent many years and his team investing in the community and like participating in part of it, and like the whole t-shirt swag stuff that like everybody was wearing, all of just those WordPress slogans, right? But then on the other side of that, with my agency and my team, none of I would say actually none of my team have ever been to a WordCamp, like ever. And they know I like WordPress. They know that's like what I prefer. And so I think that's where it is, right? Like I see a lot of the lowercase p people, right? And so I have it in my brain like, oh, look, you don't know how to spell WordPress, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. And yet, like their companies are just as important as the capital P companies, right? And so for me, as an agency owner, freelancer, and the people that live in that world, it's important just because I'm comfortable with it and like I get my team there. But again, we don't turn clients away that don't want WordPress because like we're just trying to help them succeed. Yeah. I don't know if I really got to the crux of that, Matt, but
no, it's great. I want to pivot just a touch and talk about AI. AI competency this year feels like we're all up, right? I feel like we're all pretty good with AI this year, judging by some of the faces looking at me right now. Last year at PressConf, it felt like we're all scared shitless what was going to happen with AI. Emma, I want to start with you because I feel like AI directly impacts the things that you're probably accountable for at hosting her. How do you, and this is more of like a more like brutally honest, feedback if you could. How do you face AI taking the job, like losing the job to AI? How do you wrestle with that? Hopefully your bosses are not here, but how do you wrestle with the fact when the boss wants efficiency, wants to push into AI? How do you wrestle with that?
So I think I got very lucky being in an AI-driven company. That was just like luck number one. Because when it first came out, there was definitely a lot of pushback. Like the mindset for especially content creators and just creative people in general, they were like, oh, shit, like I'm gonna lose my job, like this AI is gonna take it. But then if you work on more of like the growth mindset behind that, it's like, look at Grammarly, like it doesn't mean that you can't spell anything anymore. Maybe we spell a little, not as well as we used to, but like there's all these tools that just kind of became like business as usual. So working on that first was kind of what made the biggest thing. But I would say that it didn't actually, at least from my personal experience, it didn't actually remove a lot of jobs. Like I just think the output was, and the expectation just got like way the fuck higher. And actually in the weird sense, it created so many more jobs because we have like a chief AI officer, we have all these AI squads, we have like these people that are working just on AI products. So in that sense, I think all these fears were very much like, yeah, I get it. Like I was feeling the same thing, like crap, am I gonna have to cut half my team? But I didn't end up letting anybody go. There was no jobs that were redundant. Just the scope kind of changed a little bit. But I think just having that conversation and getting it all on the table was the most important thing at the start of it all. And now we have like not just AI or not just editors, but like AI editors, and they have almost an additional job for that now. So I actually think it worked out better for us.
Yeah. Katie, you're constantly like looking at the crosshairs of AI, either people making plugins like you make, or AI answering support before they even reach out to you, or maybe even recommending competitors. How do you unpack the fear, if at all, with AI in your business? Do you have, after this event, after hearing what other folks have said at PressConf 2026, do you go back home and have a new strategy based on what you heard, or has it changed at all how you approach AI in your business?
My approach to AI in my business has changed hugely in the last month. So I'm not going to attribute that to PressConf, but it has changed a lot recently. As I mentioned earlier, AI is a threat to customers being able to find my plugins. but I'm also trying to view it as an opportunity in that it can massively increase our efficiency so that we can get a huge amount done for the same or fewer resources, and therefore hopefully combat the reduction by using AI to our advantage. So I'm kind of seeing it as a blessing and a curse in that sense.
Yeah. And Lindsey, we all know what we hear in agency life or freelance life. Your clients are going to start sending you, Claude created landing pages, and they say, just do this for me. Like I made this, just do this, or blog copy and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Have you had any moments that have changed your thinking about that through this event?
So, Vito, I don't know if Vito's here still, but Bertha 4 or 5 years ago, we started implementing those tools very early. And I don't know why, it just was, I started hearing about it and I thought, oh, that's cool. And so we've been using AI back then at Content Journey since 2020, right? Bad writers were replaced really quickly, right? So exactly like what Emma said, bad writers have been gone for a really long time. Do you guys remember those penny a word sites that you could go to, right? AI replaced those people real fast. And so I'm bringing people in that were really strong editors was a piece of that. And then as soon as it started getting more mainstream, because we didn't advertise that all of a sudden content outlines were getting created by AI, which just all of a sudden I was getting to keep more of that margin, right? And so, but after people started hearing about it, they're like, well, why can't you just use AI? And so there is an education component to that. We do a lot of finance, health and wellness, things that do need human interaction with it. And I've purposely stayed within those niches because of that. Legal things, for example, right? You can't just go to any kind of AI at this point without having that checks and balance. And so they'll ask, we don't care. We just want it to be straight AI. And it's okay, we can do that. Sure, we'll help you lower that cost on it, and here's what that means.
Yeah.
And most of the time with my intervention, we can work it out. And then at the end of the day, if they just want straight AI, that's their choice.
Yeah. I want to stay on AI for just one more question. I'll let somebody take this one. I won't point anyone out right off the rip. But does AI flatten the playing field, and how do we feel about that? I mean, it's sort of what we kind of just talked about. I'll just give you a quick example. A friend of mine, not technical at all, knocked on my door, sent me a text message the other day, and he was like, I'm starting an app company. And I'm like, bro, you don't know the first thing of delivering software, delivering a customer experience, and all of that fun stuff. But that's when it started to dawn on me more immediately that it's starting to flatten the playing field maybe just a little bit. And maybe it's a hype cycle, maybe these things crop up and people get exhausted about trying to run these things, or maybe the cost of AI does go up and these folks sort of fall off the wayside. But do you feel like it's easier to have a competitor now? Do you feel like AI does flatten the playing field a little bit? And does anybody have any thoughts on that, or I can just move on?
I have a view on the product side of things. Loads of people are suddenly releasing new plugins particularly. I don't have the exact stat, but there are lots of stats being thrown around about the sheer number that are being submitted to WordPress.org more than any time in history, and that is largely because people are using AI to build plugins. The successful plugin is not just about the code, it's about the execution, the marketing, all of the things that go around it. And so I don't really see that as a threat at all, because throwing a plugin onto either your own website or WordPress.org is not a competitor to an established product with good marketing, etc.
I think it's, I didn't know what I was doing when I launched my business. So your friend's like, oh yeah, I got an app and I'm gonna launch a business. It turns out I didn't either, honestly. And I don't know. So I think that's part of entrepreneurship, at its heart, is you have an idea and you believe in something and you go build it and you go to try to find your customers. And I think that's the coolest thing about having that opportunity and the freedom to do it. And sure, most startups fail, but isn't it fun to try?
Yeah.
And just from my personal opinion, I don't think it leveled the playing field, but I am a glass half full type person, and I think it just actually gave a lot more opportunities to maybe people that never had them or had a much harder chance. So like vibe coding, yeah, maybe some kid somewhere that maybe wouldn't have gotten the shot that they had can now vibe code something, and then they have to deal with all the stuff that the other lady said, but at least they're shooting it and putting it out there. So in that sense, I think it's very good, but then at the other side, also what Katie was saying is that there's so much AI noise out there that you have like this competition against something that doesn't even make sense. Robbie and I were looking at something, it was like Medeiros, I don't know, it was some cool like AI looking thing, and then when we went to the site, it was just crap, and it was just like linked to some phishing things, and we were like, man, but this is what's popping up, and you think like, oh, this was vibe coded, this is giving somebody an opportunity, and you click to it and it's just fish bait.
Yeah.
So there's like all of this that you have to maneuver around, which gives everything else that's actually being created well, like a bad name.
Yeah. When to pivot? That's the question. I'll paint the lines for you. We talked about, Lindsey, you talked about death in your presentation, but also about life.
Yes.
But it made me think about, I posed a question, what does WordPress look like at 20%, sort of just trying to paint the picture that what happens if it does shrink, and kind of shrinking thanks to some of Ray's research at the repository. But I want to talk about like knowing when to pivot, when to change direction. It's either pivoting the whole business or pivoting a campaign, right, for SEO. Like when do you, and Emma, I'm going to go to you, when do you go through a project or a campaign or a business and go, I've had enough, it's time to pivot? What's your advice?
Well, I think like strategy is very much a living thing. Like I think maybe that's where everyone gets it wrong. It's like, oh, I made the strategy for 3 years or 1 year and I got to stick to it. But like, that's a little crap. And so I think that's the first thing that you have to do before you can even pivot. So then like, I would say like recently from my personal experience is like, we're seeing the landscape change so much. Like I forgot, but somebody was saying like every 6 months something is different now. And so I would say you need to pivot way before that, but you also need to reconsider not just a pivot, but is the timeline and like what your actual production roadmap is that the correct order? It's maybe bigger than a pivot. So like things that we were doing last year, we've completely flip-flopped. And I would love to call that a pivot, but it was more like a 180, like putting SEO as the informant, not as the +1 or the enabler. And like everything's changed. So like I think like just starting with whatever you believe is successful enough, like, and however much percentage of whatever makes you happy that you're going in the right direction, whether that's 70%, 100%, decide that, and then give yourself a time frame that makes sense for that, whatever it is that you're working on, and then just make a decision quick and then move on. Like, so we've completely switched like the way that, at least from my teams, like how we do socials, how we do outward facing content, and we release a lot of stuff and we're like, yeah, 60%, okay, let's go big on that then. It's never gonna be 100%. Maybe that's the thing I can say is like, pivot fast, because you're never, I can 100% say that you're never gonna hit 100% like clarity.
Yeah. Katie, you're a prolific tweeter. You have the Shopify Diaries, I think it's called, the series. It's almost a year's worth or more now at this point, right? Or
Yeah,
is it?
it'll be 365 next week, right before Checkout
That's
Summit.
awesome. So definitely
Smart.
follow that if you don't follow Katie on Twitter already. Is that the pivot for you? What does the pivot look like, and when do you know it's time to either continue with Shopify, lean more into Shopify, or is it something else?
I was speaking to a very wise business consultant, Claude, as you do, about what to do about the decline in my sales and different possibilities, strategies, and so on. And it made the point that in terms of continuing to work on my existing products, it wasn't that I shouldn't do that, but that I needed to be aware that I was throwing a product solution at a market problem, which is actually fair, because if we are still just focusing on the same marketing strategies that used to work that aren't working so well now, then making our products even better isn't actually going to turn things around. So I am focusing on improving my main products, but I think that is actually quite good advice, that we need to be thinking wider. So yeah, I need to keep going in the Shopify direction until I've done enough to know if it will be a success. It's still too early. And I'm also, after PressConf, thinking about other WordPress ideas, which have occurred to me during the conference through people I've spoken to and things. So yeah, I think the time to pivot is the time that it becomes clear that your current strategy isn't the best way forward.
Lindsey, on the pivot.
Yeah. As a young marketer, everything was instinct. And I still think marketing is so much of instinct, just like going with your gut on when to try something new and when not to. But I was immediately reminded of a client conversation that I had literally 2 weeks ago who wanted to try out ads. And they were like, let's see what happens after 4 days and we can go from there. And I was like, I'm so glad that I have grown a little bit in this to say you've got to give it time. And data really is the answer. And I think that for me, and I see this with Katie particularly, is she knows the data of her business, right? And so I think that you have to know those numbers. And so many times as business owners or even marketers within a company is we don't really know the numbers. We don't know how many people are visiting our site and those conversion rates and what all of that means. And I think that as much as I love to be go with an instinct, it really is know the data, own the data, be incredibly relentless about knowing all of those numbers, and then that should lead you,
yes.
Right? And I think that's what, I'm glad that I have the maturity with that now and can counsel people on those pieces.
Okay, Lindsey, I'm going to be coming back to you.
Okay, I'm ready.
But I asked the ladies on stage to reflect on a question through the event after listening to all the talks and chatting with you all to understand what was happening. Lindsey said, Matt, no one cares about the CMS that they're choosing. That was 25 minutes, right? Not 5 minutes?
Yeah, I think it's
25 minutes, okay. Matt, no one cares about the CMS that they're choosing. They care that the job's getting done. And if they do care, it's probably because they saw an ad on a Super Bowl or there's another CMS marketing much better than WordPress. You've said you felt the agencies are the ones standing kind of alone on this, right? And I think when we look about taking action in the WordPress community, especially as agencies, that's an opportunity, right, to come together and help promote the project. Your thoughts?
Absolutely. Again, as a marketer at heart, if I go to one more Super Bowl party and see Squarespace or whoever else with a Super Bowl commercial and I'm over there as this WordPress person with the crown on my head, I'm so done with that. And I feel I come against that in client conversations is they hear it on the podcast commercial or the billboard or wherever else where these other ecosystems are supporting their brand. And instead, WordPress is a lot of us out there, standing against it and be no, this is the choice and this is why. And a great example of that is, like I said, we're in finance. So I have a client, we didn't do their website. We do not do their website hosting because they're we have to make sure this is so secure. It is so important. I'm okay, get it, but it's on WordPress, right? And they're yeah. I'm all right. We've worked with them for 5 years. They get hacked last week. And I had never dug into their site. We've just done their marketing work, right? And turns out that they were with an IT company that had them a WP Engine, right? And I was oh my God, they're paying them $1,500 a month, by the way, to host a WP Engine. And so we had to go have this conversation about what that meant. And so that agency over there never mentioned WordPress. They didn't know they were on WordPress, and they had made them think that they were on some bespoke server, I don't know, in their garage or something. I'm not sure. I have bad feelings towards this agency right now. And almost started calling people at WP Engine, by the way, to be hey, can y'all help these guys? But anyway, and so, and because I think that comes down to it is they were able to sell this super secure hosting security environment, and they were just on a WP Engine server for $1,500 a month. And because at the end of the day, the clients didn't care about where it was. They just wanted to know that it was taken care of, right?
Yeah. Emma, I'm going to go to you. This is a softball question, but I'm going to stay on the topic of agencies and why it's so important for you to build relationships, or maybe your team to build relationships with agencies. Do you feel I say we, I'm not an agency anymore, but do you feel agencies are really boots on the ground to help expand WordPress? And if so, how do you try to help?
Yeah, actually most of the time at conferences in general, I like to speak to agency owners because they are like that extension of what web hosting companies offer. And if you have a bad rep and you have a bad reputation and you promise all these things, like there's going to be all these little, you know, fingers, I guess, like not pointing in your direction. So for me, agencies are like the best informants. They can tell you like what the clients want, what they don't want, and then what they want, like to make them want to use you. So without them, like I don't think like web hosting companies would be as successful as they are.
Yeah. Katie, I'm sure it's always a battle for agency owners to come to you and maybe demand more in support. How do you think about, and oftentimes like, as a, again, former agency owner, former plugin maker many years ago, I often toyed with the idea of like, well, maybe I'll have a premium license for agencies. They pay more, but they get more either support or something like that. Is there an opportunity these days to partner with agencies more so that they can help either just distribute your products or help with WordPress? How do you see agencies at Barn 2?
We've never particularly focused on that because in the past we've been so successful through organic content and we didn't particularly need to. And also I'm not like a salesperson, so it wasn't my particular skill set or comfort zone to be reaching out to agencies. But I think that is a way for product companies to remain strong into the future, because if you have strong partnerships with agencies who will regularly use your products, that completely bypasses the changes we're seeing in discoverability. Of course, that depends on the type of product you sell, and if you have a sort of, say, a form plugin or something like that, where most projects are going to require that, then that's going to work a lot more than, say, with my company. We sell a lot of very feature-specific WooCommerce add-ons, so it's a bit less relevant. So it does depend, but I think agencies are powerful partners. And I'd say that they are probably less demanding with support because they know what they're doing and they're comfortable with customizing. If they do have a question, they'll often provide very technical information. It very quickly helps us get to the cause of the problem, whereas the end user type of customer spends less overall and needs more hand-holding technically.
Yeah. Agency owners, you are loved, apparently. Katie, I'm going back to you. When we chatted before getting on stage, you were looking, paraphrasing, but you are looking for a solution, right? You came to PressConf hoping that maybe we walk away with a solution to a problem. And my question to you is, can you go deeper on what that problem was and maybe how that solution wasn't clearly defined for you?
I think a lot of people are scared at the moment about the future of WordPress specifically. And I think a lot of people are in the same boat and maybe not necessarily sharing their numbers if they have had a decline. You have to dig a bit to get people to admit that. It's been interesting, after my talk, people have come up to me and shared similar numbers. One person in particular said that the chart I shared, the shape of it was almost identical to their own. And they said they didn't know whether to feel reassured or more scared because it's not just them being useless, but it's not a good thing if it's a wider problem as well. So there's lots of interesting things to be had by sharing. But I was kind of hoping that as the, I don't know, leaders of the ecosystem or whatever people at PressConf are, we might be able to come together for some solutions. And I think there's been more discussion on problems than solutions because it's a big challenge.
Yeah, yeah. Emma, how do you feel? Again, I know you're not running the business, but do you feel like you heard solutions to some of the problems? Are you positive, negative on that outlook?
Yeah, I have a very similar sentiment as Katie. Like I feel we had this, I kind of mentioned it earlier, but this kind of unspoken theme that everyone kind of touched upon. And like there's this nice through line through all the speakers, through all the conversations that you've had. And I feel like a lot of the conversations that we had last year, or even just like at a different conference or a different WordCamp where you're like, you know, like not that we don't want anyone to hear it, but those type of things like was almost like it's like guttural like this time at PressConf. Like everything is coming out and everybody is having these conversations more publicly on stage, like just outside. And I do feel like it is the next step, but I also agree that we had so many problems come up and we never actually got to the solution stage, I guess.
Yeah.
So I also think, like, even though we're seeing downturn on some of these companies, like, my clients pretty much across the board that have flourished every year aren't doing amazing. And so I think that there's also just like this economic place that we are in right now that is uncertain, right? And so where I have like a mental health facility in Colorado that is consistently done well for years, and they have a really hefty price tag, all of a sudden they're struggling, right? And they have been for the last like 6 to 8 months. And so I think there's also just like a general economic thing that's there. Like, sure, there's technology and AI and like changing landscape here, but I also think that there's like some percentage of the economies that we're seeing that are just also kind of what's happening in our world.
Yeah. And I think that common thread, again, I know we're shooting for clarity. I think that common thread of a little bit of uncertainty or a little bit of fear, in my opinion, is okay, because it's helping us like critically think, right? This is the harder moments of running the business or being in this space, especially with AI. We had a great talk about culture and building culture in teams, and it wasn't a software company, so it was great to hear that. Katie, I'm going to start with you. How do you change the way you build culture at Barn 2? Do you find it particularly challenging because of AI? Brent did his demo where his team basically introduced like a 75% cut to his business, you know, hypothetically speaking. How do you build culture on that? Do you have a North Star that you put in front of the team and say, here's how we're going to charge through this stuff, or whether it's AI or the business in general?
Yeah, I suppose there's two strands to that. Company culture is much bigger than just AI, and I've always done that more instinctively. It was interesting to watch that talk and see his more intentional approach and formula to it, because I've just kind of imposed my personality on the company. For example, as I talked about in my talk, wanting it to be based around my lifestyle, that means not having constant calls and meetings because I don't want to be overscheduled, for example. And so the people that are attracted to work for Barn 2 are people that like the more laid back culture where they're trusted to get on with their jobs and not micromanage, and all of those things contribute to a kind of relaxed professional company culture. But I have struggled with implementing an AI-first culture, largely because I'm not a technical founder myself, and I see technical founders who are doing an amazing job at that because they are leading from the front regarding their use of AI and creating clear expectations for their team. And I'm trying my best to do that now, but I'm finding that more of a challenge than if I was a developer myself and able to make a really informed judgment on exactly how my developers should be using it. So I've had to ask my head of development to do that on my behalf, which feels less strong than if I was able to do that.
Yeah. Lindsey, I'm going to go to you. Culture?
Oh, I love culture. He mentioned EOS, so Cheryl, like we're in EO, Corey, and so like that was something that people kept telling me when I first started my business, like you need core values, and I was like, oh, what a waste of time. And I know I talked about like an emotional thing on stage today, but like I am not that person. And so I really put it off for a really long time. But as soon as I created core values for us, it changed everything for me. It got my team excited, it made me excited, and then like we hire and fire based on those core values. And some of those like involves like learning and growing and teaching and share. We're learners, and like that's part of it, and we talk about it all the time. And so obviously like we were adapting early to AI, but we were all trying all kinds of new stuff because that's what we were doing because it was part of our core values. And yeah, I love it. I love talking about culture. I love creating that. I love having a workspace that people are proud to call theirs. And yeah, all day, every day.
Emma, how do you foster culture?
Yeah, I have a very similar sentiment as Lindsey. I remember the first time I resonated with some values or principles. I was like, okay, yeah, culture. Like I've been at companies before where it's just nothing. But then when I landed in a company that actually follows through and is accountable with that, like hire and fire based off of these, and also these principles are a lot of the things that I like my own personal ethics and my own ethos, it just happens to be very much in parallel. That's when I really thrived in a good company culture, and I'm like, okay, this exists. There's these. It's true. You can find one, and if not, there's two right here. But yeah, so I also love it. I think if you can find a good fit, I don't think every culture is for everyone. Like you need to find what fits you, because maybe there's a different speed or different things that you enjoy or don't like. If you like to be more like laid back, or if you want to, or you're different stage in your career and you need a little bit more micromanagement, then find what fits you, and then I don't know, move on or grow from there. But yeah, I agree. Like I think if you can find a good fit, like culture's amazing when it's there.
Yeah. Action item after the event. That's the question. Draw the line after this event moving forward. When you step over that line and say, I've learned everything from PressConf, I've chatted with everybody, I've received feedback. What's the action item that you're going to tackle first after this event, having experienced what you've experienced here? I'll go first, give you a second to think about it, and then raise your hand if you want to chime in. So for me, it's being more open to collaboration again. It's always the hardest thing. We say that a lot, but we all get super busy. I know, at least for me, it is a big challenge, and it's like that New Year's resolution. I'm gonna stop eating that pizza. 60 days in, I'm just like, give me the damn slice of pizza again. And I forget about collaborating with others, and I host a podcast. So one of my things is trying to reach out, tell more stories that encourage and foster the community, WordPress, and the competition. That's, after I step over the line, leaving this conference, that's what I'm going to be doing. How about you all? What are you going to do after this event?
Yeah, okay. I think from me, like to not actually copy what you're saying, I want to plus one that. And I always find that like, when you're at these conferences, like the people that I enjoy speaking to a lot of time are other hosting companies, and everyone's like, ooh, 4 hosting companies talking at once. But like, it's weird the partnerships that you can end up with. But so that aside, I completely lost my train of thought.
You were copying me.
I was copying you, and then I wanted to move to my own point. Oh yeah, okay, I got it. Okay, but it was basically like simplify everything. Like we've gone full circle with a lot of the things, and it was, maybe it's not an action point, but a reminder of like, we went super granular, then we went super big picture, and then we like did these crazy like feedback like spirals, and we all just came back to like cut all the middle bullshit out and just simplify everything. And that's maybe what I'm gonna go back with, and just, my action.
Yeah. Fantastic. Katie?
Well, I've got a whole list, so I need to go through it and prioritize as my first task. But the things I'm most excited about on my list are kind of bigger picture ideas that I've got out of this, whether it's like acquisitions or a new product idea, and I've got a few big things that I want to evaluate, so which might just be distractions, but I want to do the work to see if they're good ideas.
Yeah. Are you going to feed that through Claude, or?
Of course, my trusted business advisor.
Yeah. Mr.
I
Claude.
love that. I think, I shared, very personal story today from the stage. And so I think for me, a lot of what's happened in my business in the last 6 months has just been like same old, right? Like we know our systems, like we've created all these processes and we've stuck to it. And I think Brian said this, like I'm dabbling back in politics like I used to be. And I think for me after these 2 days is I'm feeling reinvigorated about my business again. And like go back in and be like, yeah, we have these processes and like how can we improve these even further, and like getting me excited about that. Because like it is, especially when it comes to marketing, like you know what to do, right? Like you know the stages. And so I like to be in this strategic seat, and we've lost a lot of that even over the last year, not just because of my personal pieces, but because like our processes are set, right? And so I've been kind of dabbling outside with people that like want to use the strategic side. And so I think like I'm feeling a little bit reinvigorated in general, just back, to working with the team.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We have a few minutes until questions. I'd like to wrap this up with cool things you use now. I don't know, that's the amazing phrase I came up with. Something that you can recommend to folks out in the audience that you're using. It's most likely AI, or maybe it's M-, or maybe not. For me, while you have a second to think about the cool thing you use now that you could recommend to people in the audience, mine is Solo Terminal. I'm not a developer, but Solo is pretty cool. It's made by Aaron Francis, who a lot of developers probably know. It's way better than using Mac Terminal when you're using Claude Code, in my opinion, or any of your favorite chatbot, for the fact that it allows you to open up different tabs and stuff like that. So that's my cool thing for you to check out, Solo Terminal. Who wants to take this one?
I'll go first, because I don't think I've gone first anytime. All right. So we do a lot of social media at My Marketing Assistant, and so Artlist is something that we use a whole lot. So it's pretty affordable to use better music for clients, but they've added a whole lot of really cool AI stuff that includes video and various things, and so we're using a lot of Artlist. And then Nano Banana. Yeah,
Yes.
and like it's really improved, and it's very, very fun. And so we're using that a lot for social media, and honestly, even just the creation process with that, and both of those things together is pretty cool.
Yeah, and you thought saying WordPress was stupid when you walked into a room.
Seriously,
WordPress.
the things
Yeah.
these AI companies
Yeah.
are making us say these days.
Emma?
But just to add to Nano Banana, actually yesterday was one person on my team's like 7th year anniversary, and I used Gemini's like Nano Banana to like super deck out, and then it can drop a beat for you. Like so it writes it and then like does a music track. It's
Yes.
hilarious. If you haven't done it, please do it. It like slaps pretty hard.
The custom songs
Yeah.
is so much fun. Yes,
They're
yes.
so bad, but then like you're just singing it like a little bit later.
Yeah. Emma, are you stealing the Nano Banana?
No.
Okay.
But I will plus on that. Yeah, I actually don't feel like I know any like up and coming ones. I work with really talented people, and they create a lot of internal things. So like I wish that they were for public use so that everybody could use it. But I guess for more public stuff, I'm also like really obsessed with Claude. Like Copilot and all of the agents that you can set up. I don't have to know the ins and outs of how these agents work or what goes on in the back end. I just need to know what I want it to do. It can teach itself. It can explain it to me like a 5-year-old, and then I can create this agent to do exactly what I do. And yeah, without that, like I don't have to use N8N or ClaudeBot or anything like that. Just Claude.
Yeah. Katie?
Yeah, well, building on from what Emma said, the coolest tools that I'm using right now are tools I've built myself with Claude Code.
Nice.
So, and people who know me best in this room would be shocked. It's 2 months ago that I'd said that because I only just figured it out, but I've made the most amazing dashboards that integrate data from multiple sources. I've automated things to save my team time, help me manage my team. All the coolest tools are things I've built. So that's going to have to be my answer. Build it yourself, based on your needs.
Fantastic. I want to get a round of applause for Lindsey, Katie, and Emma.
You sound like a technical founder like that. You're building apps and stuff.
Yeah, but not for the public.
We'll
just
move to
internal.
questions, answers?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
All right, since we are streaming, this is actually the only thing that is streaming. If we have a question or two, we'll take that. Please, say their question again in your answer. So if we have a couple of questions, we can do that now. Wow.
Oh wow, we're
Dropped
very
everyone
thorough.
out. I know, right?
Yeah.
Any questions?
Questions?
All right. All right, well, in that case, what we're going to do now is give our panel a really big round of applause. Thank you so much.